Welcome back to my kitchen. So today we're going to make bread. If you've been to my classes, odds are at some point we're going to have lunch, and at lunch real often I offer homemade bread and cheese and fruit and stuff like that. And I've had people ask for the recipe for the bread, so here it comes. For this recipe, which I based on a sourdough recipe that I found online a while back, and I can't even, I try to find out where I found it, but I can't. So anyway, sorry if I can't make that, but it's changed anyway. I have whole wheat flour, bread flour, water, mixed seeds, yeast, and salt, and that's it. For the recipe, you want 500 grams of flour. I like to split it approximately 50-50 whole wheat and white. Put them in my bowl. $11 grams of salt. 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast. And 1/3 cup of mixed seeds. In this, I have sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, and hemp hearts, because somehow or another we ended up with them. But they're good in the bread, so it's good. Dump it all in. And this is where you have to change things a little bit on your own. If you're going to use straight bread flour, you only need 400 grams of water. If you're going to use straight whole wheat, you're probably going to need close to 500 grams of water. So I'm going to split the difference and go with 450 grams. Pour it in my bowl. Set it all aside. Get a good hearty stiff spoon and mix it up. And we're not going to worry too much about it once it all comes together. It's going to be kind of a gooey mess, very uneven. That's all right. We're not going to knead this dough. We're going to stretch it a little bit after some resting, and that's it. So you've seen me making it here in real time. Let me get it mixed up just a little bit more. When it kind of cleans the side of the bowl like this, you're pretty much there now. All right, that's good enough. Clean your spoon off. There it is. I'm going to cover it with a silicone cone top and set a timer for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is up, 10 minutes of rest. Just kind of looks kind of like a rough, shaggy dough. I've got a bowl with some water in here. The water is going to keep your hands from sticking to the dough. Get my hands down in it, get my fingers wet, peel it up, and I'm just going to pick it up and turn it and just kind of bang it down. Somewhere around 12 or 15 times. The real thing is on the first one, somewhere about 12 times in, the dough is going to tear. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. And then you've done all you can do. And it's not really a complicated thing, and this one might not tear. Some do. Oh, there it is right there. So you see how it's torn open. That means I've stretched all it's going to stretch. From there on, it's just going to tear more. So now I'm going to put the lid back on it, rest it another 10 minutes, come back, rinse and repeat. Second 10 minutes is up. Get my hands wet again. Reach in, pull it out, and repeat with the stretching and pulling. This time, I just do it about 12 or 15 times. It probably will not tear again. It'll tear the first time, probably not the second time. You start sticking to your fingers, get them wet again, and go again. All right, good enough. I'm gonna make a nice ball of it, set it up just like this, put my lid back on it, goes in the refrigerator at least overnight or up to 2 days. I have it, the flavor just builds over time. I have not gone past 2 days, but I know at 2 days, the yeasty flavor is even better than it is overnight. But you need the overnight. That's where it develops the gluten and the flavor. So just for y'all, I went ahead and did this all previously yesterday. And look, there's one fresh out of the refrigerator overnight, ready to be made into bread today. So, and glass bowl this time. It's easier to work with glass bowls because they don't move around as much. So I'm gonna work around it, get it out of the bowl. Get a little bit of bread flour. If you're curious, I use King Arthur. I don't know that it's any better than any of the rest. It's just what I'm used to. If you change flours, your water amounts will change with the flour. I don't know why. I just know they do. Also, your weather has something to do with the amount of water you need. The drier it is, the more water you need. So I've got it out. I'm gonna notice not a whole lot of flour, just a little bit to keep it from sticking. I'm going to spread it out into a rectangle. Like so. Fold it into thirds. Roll it up. Now, I'm going to form this. You'll see it looks kind of like a jelly roll right now. I'm going to form this by turning my hands in as I spin it, and it's going to pull the top down. And I may not get it all in the first go, so we'll have to probably do it twice. But you can see how the top is stretching and getting tight already, and it looks much less like a jelly roll. So just learn, it's just inward and spin, inward and spin. The next thing you're going to run into is right here. There's a bubble right here that you can see. The easiest thing is just to reach up and tear it and work it in. So, all right, that's pretty good for the first one. Now, guess what? Another 10 minutes. All right, another 10 minutes is up. I'm going to shape it one more time. I don't know that this is necessary, but it makes me feel better. So I'm going to shape it again. My dough scraper, get it off because sometimes it'll stick. I feel like it just makes a prettier loaf, allowing it to rest that extra 10 minutes and then shaping it one last time. And then, yes, 10 minutes. 10 minutes is up. Now I'm going to put it in my banneton. I was taught to use rice flour in the banneton, but I found that whole wheat flour works just fine because of the bran and the whole wheat. It kind of serves the same purpose as the rice, which the rice doesn't absorb moisture, or it absorbs more moisture, keeps it from sticking. The whole wheat does the same thing. So I'm just going to lift it, quick turn, drop it in my banneton, and then I'm going to put it in an oven and proof it for an hour. About 100 degrees seems to be about right. So see y'all in an hour. So we're 30 minutes into the hour of proof time, and that's kind of the way I break it up. Now, I have the luxury at the shop of 2 ovens. In the house, I only have 1 oven, so we're kind of breaking things up. In the one in the shop, I proof it for 30 minutes, and then I have another small oven, like the size of the one over here, that I preheat to put the loaf in. Now, I want to show you 2 different Dutch ovens. We started with this one, this wide, low one, and it's okay. It gives you a wide, low loaf, and if that's what you like, that's great. I got this one recently, and it's a crock pot brand, whatever that is, but it's a 3-quart, and it's deep, and the sides are deep. And I really like that because it gives me a taller, nicer shaped loaf, in my opinion. The next question is, and somebody's going to see it if you haven't already, why are there wing nuts on top of your Dutch oven? Well, the first reason for the first one was I was baking it in an even smaller oven and it would not go in with the handle on it. So I had to put something that I could grab, so I had to put a wing nut on it, grind it down. The second one, it came with a plastic knob that said maximum temperature was 350 degrees. Well, guess what? I'm baking at 425 degrees. So yet another wing nut. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in the oven and then turn it on to 425 degrees at bake. And I want it to preheat for at least 30 minutes. If you have a standard home kitchen size oven, you probably need it to preheat for an hour because you've got so much more space and mass in your oven to come to temperature. But something small like the one I've got over here, 30 minutes is good to go. So the bread has been proofing for an hour and the Dutch oven has been in the small oven for 30 minutes, longer if you have a big oven. And I used to think that I needed it to proof and get really big in the Banneton. But I have figured out since that as long as it is just above the top edge of the Banneton, that's all I need. And another thing that I learned is it kind of has a dry texture now. I used to really work trying to keep it moist. But that dry texture, when I go to cut it with the lame, it's going to make the oven spring way better. It was just a dumb thing that happened one time, and it was a wonderful thing that happened because previous to that, I was having real problems with oven spring. So I'm going to I got 2 pieces of parchment paper, crisscross, turn it over, lift my Banneton off, I'll pull it to the edge. I have a natural bristle paintbrush. Don't really want the plastic ones. I'm going to sweep most of the whole wheat flour off. Gives the surface just a little better look when it gets baked. All right, there's that. Done with the Banneton, done with the brush. Square them up again. So now I'm going to get my Dutch oven out. Set it there on the stove. Take the lid off, drop it almost. Then I'm going to use the paper as a cradle to pick it up and drop it down in the pan, just like that. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to take the scissors and cut around. And I used to think I was wasting the paper if it stuck out the top, but it makes it so much easier to get it in and get the dough settled in the pan if you've got extra there to work with. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slice it. You can use a lame, that's fine. I'm going to use this Ed Caffrey hunting knife. It's my first Master Smith knife I've ever owned, and it does a really good job. The next thing is don't be afraid to cut deep when you go to cut for your lame. Go ahead and get it open. I like a crisscross on the top, an X, and then drop in and a good deep cut, sort of like you would see on the spokes of a compass is kind of what I'm looking for. So there's that. I'll make sure y'all can see that well before I move on. Get it picked up so you can see what I've got cut right there. Okay? So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it with water. Some people use ice. Some people use different things. I've just found a little spray of water. I go all the way around, and I want to see a little water standing in the cuts. The water is going to help with my oven spring, and so that's going to help with my rise significantly. Get the lid on it. and it goes back in the oven for 45 minutes. All right. See you again in 45 minutes with fresh bread out of the oven. 45 minutes is up. Let's see what we got. Smells good. Oh, look at that, y'all. Looks like bread to me. So, there it is. One loaf of bread. Now, the human nature is, I want to cut it and eat it now. Good things come to those who wait. You really needed to let it cool down till it's about room temperature. The wait is over. The moment has come. It is time to see what we have in this piece of bread here. So, oh, listen to that crunch. Oh, and it's soft inside. Oh, that's going to be beautiful. Now, if you don't know and you haven't baked before, this is, without a doubt, the best piece right here. It doesn't get any better than that first cut. And I have to always share it with my wife. So, let's see what we got here. That's good stuff, y'all. Need to give it a try. Okay. Crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. Very nice. Nice mouthfeel. Taste the seeds. Taste the nuttiness of the whole wheat. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, thank you. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. If you really enjoyed it, find us on Patreon. Help us make some more videos. Thank y'all. Bye.